hope you are doing well. Welcome to the creative writing course from Henry Harvin Education. Today, what we are going to discuss is that how to write a best-selling novel. So, in your journey in creative writing, the first thing that you need to do is that you need to uh, write a few stories, and once you become an aspiring author from an amateur writer, you tend to publish your first book. So publishing is something, okay, I'm repeating it again, but then publishing is something that you should never rush into. Let me tell you, Chetan Bhagat wrote for 10 years before his first book was published. So writing, in terms of writing or as a writer, you can never be an expert. You need to keep learning writing. You need to keep evolving as a writer. Writers evolve with time. You start as an amateur writer, and then you learn, and then you become an aspiring writer, and then you learn, and then you become an aspiring become a writer, and then you become an aspiring author. And before you think about authoring a book, you should go through the learning process. Do not skip it. So all the learning process, the language skills, the grammar, the writing, the power in how to add power in your simple sentences, how to add power in writing, is all that is discussed in the previous modules. So if you haven't seen them, just go and check them out before you come to this writing a best-selling novel. In this series, we are going to discuss about how to write a best-selling novels. So let me just start with the presentation. We will discuss all. Let's just start to discuss with writing a best-selling novel. So this is the module 4 for creative writing, and this is about writing the best-selling novel that you will write. But let me just tell you that before you start to write a novel, or before you start, at least read. Like I said in the first module, that reading is imperative, because reading is like breathing in and writing is like breathing out. So when you are planning to write something, at least you should have at least read 1,000 books, right? So at least read at least 1,000 books of your choice, obviously in fiction or non-fiction or whatever you want to read. But then 1,000 books should be read before you plan to publish your book. Before reading 1,000 books or before writing, all the other step is never think of publishing before writing at least 12,000 pages, right? If you haven't written 12,000 pages minimum, right, in fiction writing in the same genre, don't think that you will be able to publish your work. So do not rush into publishing. Just go through the learning process and then only think of publishing your first book. So when you are publishing your first book, obviously you're writing a bestseller. You want your novel to be best-selling. You want to top up the charts, and you should, right? So we are going to learn about writing a best-selling novel. The process will include a few things like pre-writing and post-writing. So the pre-writing would be choose a genre. Now, this is not called genre. I told you in the previous segments that how do you check the pronunciations of some words, right? So choose a genre. Write a plot. Like I told that a story consists of a plot, a setting, it consists of characters, it consists of conflict, it consists of a lot of things are there. It has to have a message, or all of that we have discussed in the previous modules. So you have to choose a genre, write a plot. So whenever I'm just opening a Word file for you so that you are able to, see it better or take the notes down during the class if you want to. So I'm just changing it here. So what you can do is like the genre can be anything, right? It can be humor. You have to be very careful if you're choosing that, right? It can be thriller, like one book which is by Manav called A Night in the Hills is a thriller book, right? The Deadly Dozen by Anirban Bhattacharya. It is a thriller book, so you can read it, right? So if it can be thriller, it can be humor, it can be inspirational, right? It can be romance, it can be suspense. It can be, genre is basically the mood of your story, or the basic idea of your story where you let the reader know that, okay, this is the feeling that the reader will have if he is feeling happy, or if he has to laugh during the story. You will choose the genre of humor, you will choose the genre of thriller, if you want to thrill your reader. So when you are choosing the genre, you have to ensure that the reader will go through the same feeling, and you should let the reader go through the same feeling. It can be romance, it can be suspense, it can be sci-fi. Like if you're seeing the movie Krish, it is sci-fi, right? It can be then there is something called Harry Potter, right? So it is another genre where everything is highly fictional, but then it looks like in the real place. So you can choose a genre. So genre is indeed important. So this is the pre-writing process. We will discuss one by one. Write a plot. You will jot down your plot and idea on a paper. I will tell you how. You have to do some research work as well, because that is the process, pre-writing process. Supposedly your writer or your protagonist, you know who a protagonist is. We discussed that in the previous module. So if your protagonist is say a teacher in London, so you have to do that research work, that how is the life of teachers in London, right? How do school operates in London, right? How do what are their working hours? How do they teach? What are their teaching methodology? Because if your protagonist life will revolve around his profession, so you have to choose the profession of your protagonist wisely, and also do some research work. Now if you are talking about, or if you're writing in the humor genre, your research work should be focused upon what brings laughter in that particular topic or in that particular genre, right? So you have to choose all of that. Then you have to create setting and characters. We will discuss this. Use the narrative voice. You have to choose the narrative voice and raise a conflict. So this is the pre-writing process, which we will discuss one by one. Let me just move forward. The post-writing process is create your first draft. Let it sit for a while. Self-edit. We have understood this in the power writing, right? Divide in chapters. You have to, once you have written. So if you have written 12,000 words, you cannot publish the 12,000 words in one go. You have to divide your story in the chapters, right? Proofread and then a tighter edit. Tighter edit is something that if you have written a story in 12,000 words, the tighter edit should make it more meaningful, more powerful, should make it more readable. And the 12,000 words should squeeze to 10,000. So you will cut the dead weight away, right? Fine, there. Now, there's an expert tip in the writing process. The more story cooks, the better. Doris Lessing. So the more time you spend in editing is better your story. So you have to, more than the writing, writing should never edit your work while writing. Let the idea flow on the paper. Don't worry that it is not grammatically correct. Don't worry that it is not, you have made a punctuation mistake. Don't try to punctuate other than full stop and commas. Don't try to punctuate your story there, because that can be done on Grammarly. We had understood that, that can be done on Grammarly. All of that proofreading part can be taken, part will be done later. But what the first thing is that you have to get your idea on the paper. So write your story first in one flow, and do not, if you're suffering from a writing block, just take a walk or come back to your story and come, write it again. But then yes, you have to continue writing without editing. But when it comes to editing of the story, it means the cooking of the story. So you have to cook your story there. I mean, you don't have a choice on that. So you have to keep cooking your story so that your story looks more, I would say, engaging. The story hooks your reader, and the reader doesn't want to put your book down, right? So that is what the story. So we have discussed the genre. You have to choose a genre. It can be romance, it can be thriller, it can be horror, it can be humor, it can be fantasy, it can be sci-fi, it can be suspense, anything. You can choose a genre. Always, see, let me just tell you that a lot of people do this mistake of choosing or mixing many genre there. Don't do that. Choose one prime genre and one secondary genre. So if you have read Chetan Bhagat's latest release, One Arranged Murder, I don't know if you have read it. If you haven't read it, please read it, because a few things that you will learn from the story. So that is that genre is having a mix of thriller and romance, but do not mix more than that. Do not have one primary genre and one secondary genre, but not more than two genres. You should have one primary, and then you can give a, like, you can write a thriller and give an angle to angle of romance into it, right? Supposedly, if you have watched Three Idiots, I think all of us have watched Three Idiots. It is based on Five Point Someone, right? It is based, so the genre is social. The first genre or the primary genre is social, and the secondary is friendship. So do not mix too many things, right? If you have watched Two States, it is purely written in romance genre, right? So do not mix more than two genres in your writing, because it will kill the plot of your story. So your plot of the story is indeed important. So what you have to do is that you have to choose one primary genre and the secondary primary genre. You can mix two of them. Like I said, that you can write a thriller and add an angle of romance to it. You can write a comedy or a humor feature and add an angle of thrill into it. I mean, it's completely your choice. Like if you have read Harry Potter, so you have this completely the sci-fi or fantasy genre into it, right? So this is something that you need to understand in terms of genre. Now, coming on to difference between a plot and a story, a lot of people mix the plot and the difference. So plot is the basic idea of your story. Like Three Idiots, what is the plot of Three Idiots? The plot, or let me just tell you a plot of few, let me just tell you a plot of few movies that I have watched. So Three Idiots, it has a plot. What is the plot of the story? The learning versus, this is learning versus success, right? Then Two States, what is the plot of the movie or the story? So when we talk about Two States, the plot of the movie is acceptance in different, acceptance of different castes and communities, right? Like a South Indian family doesn't think that Punjabis are intelligent, and then Punjabi family thinks that, in the story I'm talking about, in the context of the story, do not take me otherwise. So in Two States, a Punjabi family feels that the South Indian family is not beautiful, inverted commas, and the South Indian family feels that the Punjabis are not intelligent. So that is the stereotypes that they have tried, that Chetan Bhagat has tried to break. So, okay, I'm discussing a Chetan Bhagat stories. The Two States is also Chetan Bhagat's story. Three Idiots is also based on 5 Point Someone, which is Chetan Bhagat's. But then eventually he did a good job with those two books, right? So other than that, I think it is imperative that you read the genre, or at least 5 books in the genre that you are planning to write in. Like if you're planning to write in humor, read Mrs. Funny Bones, right? So if you are planning to write thriller, read the A Night in the Hills, right? If you're planning to write inspirational, read the books about, and read any of the non-fiction books about. I mean, obviously you can find them on Amazon. So it's completely your choice what you want to read, but then your genre is a choice, but then do not mix more than them. Now, coming on to plot in a story, the plot is the reason that creates an order. We were discussing the plot, that the plot is the reason that creates an order of event, why the story is happening. So plot is the why of the story, right? It is like why we are writing this story, what is happening, for what reason this is happening, and it will take your character from point A to point B, which is like if you discuss Three Idiots, it has taken the characters from point A, where the series of the events, it has taken the characters from point A that they have started studying, and point B is who is successful, right? That's the difference between plot. Now the story is the series of events, like they meet in the college and then they discuss about success and learning, and then there is a romance angle with Kareena Kapoor, and then that is the story. But the plot remains up, the plot doesn't change in the story, right? The series of the events nicely ordered to create a movie like visuals in the reader's mind. So we have discussed that how to create visuals in the reader's mind, but when you are writing a novel, it should look like a movie. So a lot of novels are adapted for filming. So that is because, and those novels are adapted for filming that are able to create a movie like image in the reader's mind. So if you're writing a best-selling novel, you have to keep in mind that your novel has to create a movie like image in the reader's mind, and the reader should not be able to, or should not want to put your book down. So here's an expert tip for you. The king died and the queen died too is a story, right? The king died and how the queen died of grief is a plot. Or you can, make the plot better, or you want to bring in a twist. The king died and how the queen murdered him. Let's just say murdered. Okay, let me just correct it. Murdered him for the throne is the, now I've changed the quote. Now this is my quote. This is no more from E.M. Foster's. So A Passage to India, the king died and the king, how the queen murdered him for the throne is a plot, right? So king died, and yeah, so this is something that, how the queen died. This was the original quote. How the queen died of grief is the plot. So the plot would be the basic idea of your story. So let me just tell you that there are a few books that have wonderful plots when it comes to plotting. So these give you a shocking plot twist in your story. Let me just tell you that In a Dark Wood by Ruth Ware, this is available on Amazon, obviously. And then The Couple Next Door, Shari Lapena. So this is a book which gives you a best, this is Sunday Times bestseller. So this is one of the books that is wonderful. So I don't want to reveal the entire thing, but you can go on and read. If you want to add a twist to your plot, this is the best thing that it will help you, or these are the best books that will help you develop a plot of your own, right? So Elizabeth is Missing, Emma Healy, is something that, you can just go on and read here. So it is about a plot that has a twist in the end is engaging for the reader. The reader is not able to put the book down until they understand that, okay, what is happening. Similarly, if you do not, and we are discussing about writing a novel, but if you read about, say, the short stories written by Jeffrey Archer. So there's a book called Thereby Hangs a Tale, and Thereby Hangs a Tale. It is available on Amazon. You can buy it and you can read it, or you can read it on Kindle device as well. So that you will read the entire story, which is written in like one flow, and then suddenly comes a twist in the end, and he will create a hook in the beginning, right? He will create a hook in the beginning. When you write a plot with the twist, there it will create a hook. You will have to create a hook in the beginning, and then let the reader flow with the story, and in the end you will give a twist, right? So this is how it works with you. If you want to write a twist in your plot, or if you want to create a twist in your plot, and creating a twist in your plot is amazing when it comes to writing, right? So Shutter Island, this is by Dennis Lehane. So these are a few books that you can read. Fight Club, right? That has amazing twist. The Girl Before, right? Then you have The Lie and Every Dead Thing. All of this is, these are a few books that have twist in the plot. You can read them and you can understand that how a twist works in the plot, and it becomes a bestseller book, right? Shocking plot twist. So these are the shocking plot twists that you can understand. So this is now structure of a plot. Always, when you are writing your story, always divide your story. Never start writing the entire novel first. Never do that, because then you will deviate from your idea and you will not even realize it. So what you do is, like, you write an article, you write it in points. You write the headline, you write the first introduction, you just write your story in the points. Like if you want to write in 12,000 words, at least write the crux or the plot of the story in 500 words, right? So that, and also in the points, divide your story in Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. So Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 is basically The Act 1 stands for introduction, where you introduce your characters to the world, where you introduce the world to the reader, the world in your story to the reader. And Act 2 is the disturbance, the rise of the conflict, when a disturbance upsets the reader upsets the protagonist, and the reader feels that, okay, now there is something happening. Okay, and Act 3 is choices and decisions that the protagonist has to make, right? So you have to show the big fight. So here comes the climax. So the first part will be the introduction, second part will be actually the conflict, and third part will be the climax. So you will have to structure your plot in a way. So write your plot at least in 500 words and see that what is happening. Okay, fine. Now coming on to 5 elements or stages of a plot. So first is exposition. So when you are structuring your plot, right, in this way, or when you are writing your plot, you can always the pointers, like I said, that you should write your plot in the points first. So exposition would be that you expose your characters and you expose the world to the reader. So write at least in 10-12 points that how do you want to expose the characters, even if your character is coming in the middle of the story, right? You should write that how will you expose that character to the reader in a few lines, or maybe in a few words, right? Maybe 1-2 sentences, that this is how I will bring, supposedly there are 6 characters in your story, right? And you want to expose the 6th character in the middle of the story. But you should write it under the exposition that, okay, this is how the character in the middle of the story will be exposed, so that when you are writing the entire story, you reach the middle of the story, so you don't deviate from that, because it comes, when you're thinking in the mind, it is all there in the mind, but when you're writing it, you tend to forget it. It's absolutely okay, but then you should write that exposition. The rising action. Now the rising action would be that the first hint of the conflict to the reader, that this is the first hint of the conflict, like which is that, okay, from here the story is about to change. So that will be your rising action. You show the first hint to the reader that there is a conflict now. Okay, so you talk about the conflict, you talk about the here you write it in the point that how will you show the conflict. Will you show it in the first chapter, or will you show it in the last chapter? You will show it will you show it in the third chapter? So wherever you will not, conflict cannot come immediately in your story, and it cannot it has to be consistent. The scenes and the sequence of conflicts has to be consistent. Like I give you an example of Three Idiots, where the conflict arises starting from the beginning. The first scene also gives a conflict when I don't know when R. Madhavan and Sharman Joshi and they get together, and on the top of that roof, I mean wherever, and they discuss that, okay, we discussed it on 5th September that I'll be successful and you will be not. So that is where in the first scene also you can raise a conflict. It's absolutely okay. But where will you give the rising action? Will it be in the first chapter? Will it be in the second chapter? And after that, in the Three Idiots, we always had this conflict, like Aamir Khan had to sit in the first row when it came to when the midterm results came. So it was there in the middle as well. Right, and then Sharman Joshi tried to commit suicide. It was again the conflict. So how many times the conflict will be shown, and wherever it will be shown, will it be shown in second chapter? Will it be shown in third chapter? Will it be shown in, I mean, it can be shown in first chapter also. It can be shown in. It's for you to decide that how do you rise the action of conflict, right? And then comes the climax. That how will you resolve it? Okay. How will you resolve it? So the big fight that you have to show here, what is the fight happening? So the falling action would be that soon after the climax, things are settling down. Okay, things are settling down. So your protagonist may continue to live the same life. He may not go back to the same life. His life is completely changed, or her life is completely changed, or he starts a life afresh. So all of that is the falling action that you show, and the resolution, where comes the message of the story. This should be the last chapter of your book. right? When you see that, okay, everything has settled and the story has come to an end. So this is called the resolution. Like you see in Three Idiots, the last scene where they met near the lake, and then they speak to each other that, okay, fine, I am a schoolmaster, but that's okay. I mean, I'm better than you. And then that is the resolution. Okay, that he realizes the power of learning. Okay, so these are the 5 elements or stages of the plot. Now coming on to the 5 basic plots. What are the 5 basic plots? Overcoming a monster. You can create a monster and a protagonist in your story. So Jurassic Park is one of the examples. It can be Narnia. You can create a monster, fictional or whatever. Rags to riches. Obviously, if you have seen Cinderella or something like that, that is rags to riches. That is your story. The quest. The quest is Finding Nemo. You're in search of something, that is called the quest. So this is one of the plots that really work better because it adds a lot of thrill, it adds a lot of drama, it adds a lot of it engages the reader on what is happening in the next scene, right? So the quest is the best plot so far. Then voyage and return. So if you have seen Dil Dhadakne Do, that is voyage and return. If you've seen Titanic, right? Okay, it never returned, but then the voyage, okay, and the return was that she actually had the diamond with her whole time. And reincarnation. Reincarnation is the rebirth. So your protagonist can come into the world again and see it from a different angle completely. Okay, so these are the 5 basic plots that you can use. Otherwise, there are a number of plots. When you read a lot of books, you will realize that there are a number of stories that you can create. Now, coming on to the plot generator tools, there is one which is, plotgenerator.org.uk. Let me just show you this tool. This is awesome tool that you can use to create your, let me just show you. So these, see, so you have to generate a plot for short story. You have to generate a plot for movie script. You have to generate a plot for fairy tale, story ideas, opening line, twist, writer's block, your meme. Everything is here, right? Everything is here. You can very easily generate a plot here. So what you could do is, let's just say that supposedly I want to create a plot in, say, paranormal romance also. I want to generate a plot in crime. I don't know if it will allow me to, but then see, name your detective. Now here it is also giving you an example, right? Just fill the entire, name your detective. It can be anybody. Is it male? Is it female? Their sidekick, name if they have a sidekick or the assistants, a person the detective is fond of, adjectives to describe somebody's physical appearance. See, it will give you everything here. Something you can become addicted to, right? Something somebody might be passionate about, an adjective that could describe an object, negative adjectives to describe somebody's character, positive adjectives, everything is available here. So you can just go on and create your plot very easily. This is the plot generator. Here, it will give you every idea of supposedly you want to create a domestic noir. So here, again, a strong but troubled lead, preferably female. It will also suggest you that it should have a female or a male character into your story, right? So this is a wonderful thing that you can do in that can help you create your plot. So this is how you generate the plot. There are other tools also, writingexercises.uk, plot generator, TV Troops, and there is something called Readz. Readz will also help you generate a plot. Let me just tell you. Readz will also help you generate a plot, but you have to create an account here, and then only you will be able to get some kind of work. So I don't think so, because I am exceeded with my limit. So they will not allow me to, I am sure they will not allow me to do this now anymore, but let me just show you. Okay, fine, invalid credentials. So they're not going to allow me to do this. All right. So coming on to the next part, which is, this is how you generate a plot. Now coming on to the next part, setting in a story. What is a setting in a story? Setting is basically let me just tell you what is, we have understood what is a setting in a story. It is the place, weather, social strata, all of that is a story. So let me just tell you that setting is always omnipresent in a story. How? Like if you are saying that, let me just show you this. There, she banged the door of the room behind her and stormed, let's just say, stormed out to the stairs. She went and dumped herself on the couch before she decided to head for a mall, head towards the kitchen. So what is the setting of the story here? This is the omnipresent story. The setting is omnipresent. So this will give you a backdrop of house. This is giving you a backdrop of the house, right? But when you write that the cacophonous sea was crawling and creeping towards me. I wasn't, or okay, I wafted the moist air and the sand was twirling with waves. So here, this is the setting of the sea. Here, you are actually describing the sea, but here the setting is hidden. There can be a hidden setting and there can be a descriptive setting. So this is a descriptive setting in the story, and this is the hidden setting in the story. So without a setting, it is always, setting is always present in the story at all times, because your protagonist at some place or the other, they are in some time or the other. It may be summer, it may be winter, it can be anything, right? But there will be some setting in your story. So this is omnipresent. So when it comes to setting, it can be the hidden setting, and this is the setting of a house, and this is the setting of a sea. Here you are describing the setting of the sea, and here it is you are not describing the setting. You are what you are describing. We learned about descriptive writing, right? So here you are describing the anger of a woman, but there is a setting of the house. Here you are describing the sea, and there will be, you can show your protagonist here. So this is called the setting. Okay, so this is the difference between the setting and the plot. It can be real, it can be fictional. Like if you read Cecilia Ahern, 30 Women, 30 Stories, right? Most of the settings are fictional, right? Most of the settings are fictional, and most of the settings are you can have, but if you read any of the Chetan Bhagat's book, most of the settings are real. So it can be fictional, it can be real, right? So it is entirely up to you that what kind of setting you choose. But even if you're using fictional setting, it has to look real, because the stories should look real. Only then your novel will be, the reader will be able to relate to your novel. So unless and until the story is real, until and until the setting is real, then the reader will not be able to, looks real, at least it should look real. The writer will not be able to relate to your story, right? Now coming on to the expert tip, a good scenario doesn't make a good science fiction story, but it's a setting within which a good science fiction story might be told, right? So Broken Dreams, if you haven't read this, please read it. This is a wonderful book. So let me just tell you about best settings in literature that we have seen. See, Hogwarts, right? Hogwarts in Harry Potter series. If you're a Harry Potter fan, there is nothing that looks more real than Hogwarts. So you should create a setting like this. Overlook Hotel, The Shining, right? This is a fictional setting, but this is this is the Stephen King's book, which is The Shining, is a special sort of evil. So you must read these books to become a better writer. Wonderland, Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. So the Wonderland, the Alice in Wonderland. So Wonderland is a place that can never be present in real life, but it looks so real while reading the book. So that is how the settings are made. Gotham City, Batman, right? Middle Earth, The Hobbit and the Lord of Rings trilogy. Oceania, it is 1984, right? 2221 B Baker Street, Sherlock Holmes. You have, if you have read it. So Efrafa, Watership down. So all of these are imagine. This is just the settings that you can go to writersdigest.com and read about the settings. So these are a few websites that you can use. Medium. Okay, this was an article on medium.com, but then this is writersdigest.com where you can write better fiction. See, this is one tool: write better non-fiction, write better poetry, get published. All of that is available on writersdigest.com, and they are wonderful. They have some wonderful article also. Just follow their blog if you want to read, right? More. Now, coming on to what is the setting? It is obviously the time, location, the social strata, the weather, all of that. Like now, I think we had discussed it. The setting can be, let's say, he stepped out of the Audi car wearing a tuxedo. That means you are the setting of the social. This is the setting of the social strata, right? So this summers of 2020. This is the setting of time. Then you can have the setting of place. So last summers, in the summers, the evening on Gondolin Beach in Goa. This is the mix of two settings: the setting of time and the setting of time and the setting of place, right? And this is the setting of social strata. So these are the three types of settings that you can use: location, social strata, and weather. The summer, winter, autumn, they are the setting of the weather. Now coming on to creating characters. So creating characters, there are a few characters that you can understand. Developing your characters is imperative when it comes to novel writing. Your novel becomes best selling because let me just tell you that characters are real people in the fictional space. So you have to develop your character in a way that they look absolutely real. You cannot chance upon not creating wonderful characters into your story. Okay, so this is imperative. So there are types of characters that are static versus dynamic. The static character is that somebody who doesn't change with the circumstances. However, the dynamic character is who normally changes with the circumstances. So static character, if I give you an example of static characters in Three Idiots, then the Chatur, the person who played the role of Chatur is the static character. He doesn't change, right? The dynamic character is R. Madhavan, who has changed, right, with the story. Or if you talk about the other stories where if you talk about two states, so Arjun Kapoor is the static character and Alia Bhatt is a dynamic character. She changes with the circumstances. So the characters who change with the circumstances are the dynamic characters. So if you want to, like, bipolar, if your character is suffering from any kind of personality disorder, he or she is a dynamic character, but because he changes with the circumstances. But if your character remains the same, reacts the same way throughout the story, then he is a static character. Now coming on to flat versus round. What is a flat character? Flat character is somebody who doesn't react to many things. Here, that doesn't change. The personality should not change. Now here we are in static versus dynamic. We are talking about people who the personality of your character. Here we are talking about the reactions of your characters, right? So the flat character doesn't react to most of the things. They are like, they go in a flow, they're simple, they are they are just least affected with anything, like Amir Khan in Three Idiots, right? But round characters are that they get affected easily, which is Sharman Joshi in Three Idiots. They get affected easily, or they react to most of the things. Now, simple characters are obviously simple people, like you'd meet simple people who are simply complicated, are who are shrewd. So if your character is shrewd, if your character can scheme, if your character is so mostly the antagonist is a complicated character in the story, and the protagonist may or may not be simple. It is not necessary that you should build a story around a simple and protagonist. Okay, so this is how you create a character. Now coming on to ask yourself, before you write a character, please ask yourself, what is the name? What does this person do? How do they look like? What are they? Because you will describe all of this, their physical appearance, their likes, dislike, their name. Your character should also always have a name. What secrets do they hide? Their fears, their aspirations. Like I said, that everything, every question is related to the real people. So when it comes to real people, when characters are real people in the fictional space, you should have all these answers to your characters. His place in the story. So if you have 5 characters in the story, one can be protagonist and one can be antagonist. Other than that, if you're building any characters, you should know that what is his place in your story. So you should do this when you are writing the plot. Okay, that this character comes here, this character comes here, all of that. When you are writing the plot in those 5 stages in points, then you should use this, right? How he takes your story forward. If any of your characters are not taking your story forward, please remove them. They are not needed. Now there is slow reveal versus long intro, right? So what happens is that if you read One Arranged Murder from Chetan Bhagat, there is a slow reveal of character. There is no slow reveal of the characters. There is just a long intro of all the characters, right? You just read the first chapter and you know everything about the character. The long intro is that there is some information given about the personality of the character in every chapter. That is called the long intro. The slow reveal is when the character is giving, or when you are giving some information with the actions, with the reactions of the character to every after every chapter. So that will, even until the end of the story, your reader should feel that, okay, I don't know this character, right? So this is something called slow reveal. So long intro is that you write a long introduction of your character, and it is done in the very first chapter, or latest maximum in the two chapters, right? How to create memorable characters. Now, like I said, that when you want to become a writer, you should look at everything from a writer's perspective, right? So you can go to a public place, observe some people, and then create a character. Draw a sketch if you want to. If you're good in drawing, you can do that. Otherwise, you can, make a physical appearance. The nose is sharp or pointed, or he doesn't have a pointed nose. All of that you need to create. You can draw a sketch, click a picture of people, obviously with the permission, and then understand if you can create a character. So if you meet to so many people in the real life, a few characteristics you like of people and few you don't. So you can mix the characteristics of 2 people that you know in real life and create one character. And you can also add some kind of fictional elements, like somebody has long ears. That is a fictional element. I'm just talking about the physical appearance. You can use the traits also. So when character acts in a way, character acts in ways reader wasn't expecting, the reader's curiosity is immediately piqued. So this is something that you need to keep in mind, that the reader should not expect that your character is reacting in this way. Okay, right? Clear? So coming on to the next part, which is the narrative, which is the narration. Now, like I said, that the story is written in narrative, and the stories are usually written in narrative style and the descriptive writing style that we had discussed in the module 1. So narrative is the perspective the story is told from. Like Three Idiots, the protagonist of the story is Aamir Khan, but it is R. Madhavan. So all of you can watch Three Idiots and you can relate to all these things, because it is difficult to refer to the books, because you may not find the book, or all of you may not want to read the book in the same genre. It is just that you can read 5 Point Someone and then watch Three Idiots, and you will understand the entire thing that I am telling you. All right. So a narrative is the perspective the story is told from. So in Three Idiots, Amir Khan is the protagonist of the story, but it is the R Madhavan who is narrating the story. So there has to be a narrator in the story, and it is his narrative voice, right? How does he feel? It is always his perspective of the story. It is never the other people's perspective of the story, right? So this is now okay. Coming back to character development, okay, this is a tool called selfpublishingschool.com. Here you can go and develop your characters. So how to create, here is a 12-step guide to good character development, which is create a background for your character, give your character strength and weaknesses. All of that we have discussed before. Create nervous tricks for your character, avoid making a perfect character, give your character realistic motives, give them a unique feature, develop a wide variety of character personalities. I mean, but you have to see, if your character is flat, then you cannot do that, right? Create an impact of your character's past. I mean, all of that. Make secondary characters foil types, give each character a unique voice. Okay, that is what we are going to discuss in voice, right? Create a diverse character cast, avoid character stereotypes. Do not build stereotypical characters. Somebody who's uh, a misogynist may not be your character. It's a stereotypical character. Anything which is very common is not a good idea to build, right? Fine. So you can go now. These are called the anime. So anime characters are the characters that are animated characters. So there you can go on Google and search about any of the anime characters, because that takes a lot of time for writers to build. So you can understand that how well they build the characters when it comes to anime characters. Right now, coming on to the narrative voice. So I was telling that in the movie Three Idiots, it's the Amir Khan who is the protagonist, but eventually it is R. Madhavan who is narrating the story. So it is his perspective about the story and his perspective about it. Okay. So now there can be linear narration and there can be non-linear narration. Linear narration is when a story is told in a sequence. Like it starts from introduction, it goes on to build a narrative pace, it goes on to build a conflict, comes to the climax and the resolution. Okay. But a non-linear narrative is when a story is told in disjointed episodes. Like Three Idiots is in non-linear narratives, because it starts from the present, it goes to the flashback, it comes to the present, and then again. So that is called the non-linear narrative. So flashbacks are usually the non-linear narrative of the story kind. Okay. So narratives are indeed important, because who is narrating the story? So the one who is narrating the story should be an integral part of the story. Otherwise, you can have a story which is, you can have a narrator who is not present in the story, right? So narration can be written in the first, or the novels can be written in the first person or the third person point of view. So when you write the novel in the first person point of view, you will start with I, so you will become the protagonist, or you may not become the protagonist, but the story will start with I, right? And the third person is when you create and give name to the characters and you write he, she, they. Okay, that is called the narrative in third person. Now coming on to, okay, now these are the things that you need to understand. Point of view, who is narrating the story, obviously, reliable versus unreliable, how much reliable he is. Like I said, that your narrator should be an integral part of the story from the beginning till the end. Like R. Madhavan was an integral part of the story from the beginning till the end. So that is how he could narrate the story. But when it comes to the omniscient or limited, I mean, how much do they know? I mean, do they know the entire thing about the protagonist? But if you feel that they are missing in some kind or in some chapters of your story, just change the narrator, because then your story goes further. This is the biggest mistake writers do when it comes to narration. Even if when your narrator is absent from the story for a short while, just change the narrator there, right? You have to change the narrator. Then it will become plural voices. It can be two narrators. Head hopping. Now, I don't say that you have to plural voices mean that you can have 5 narrators in your story. No, that will confuse the reader. You can have only 1 or 2 narrators in your story. You don't need more than that. Okay, and then ask yourself, this is these are the questions. Now when it comes to narration, the voice of the narrator who knows the whole story tells it because it is important, and it is profoundly involved with all the characters, cannot be dismissed as old fashioned or uncool. So your character has to be, if your narrator is one of the characters in the story, he has to be as powerful as the protagonist, right? It cannot be one third person who's telling the story. No, it has to be powerful. That is important. Okay, now coming on to the next, conflict. So conflict is basically the clash between two opposing forces. It will create the narrative head of the thread of the story. Like it will add to the sequences of the story, and it can be internal or external conflict. So internal would be like Queen. If you watched the movie Queen, the internal conflict is about a woman, right? It's Kangana Ranaut's Queen. Let me just tell you, you can go and watch it on YouTube. So, or sorry, any of the streaming, I don't know who the streaming partner is, but then you can go on and watch. So it is the internal conflict which talks about how a woman, an underconfident or unconfident woman, reinvents herself, rediscovers her life, and starts to enjoy life on her own. So that is the internal conflict. External conflict, when you have a conflict, like in Three Idiots, Amir Khan has a conflict with Boman Irani. So this is the difference between the internal and the external conflict. So these are the types of conflict: man versus man, which is like Three Idiots; man versus nature. It can be like Kedarnath or Titanic, that is man versus nature. Man versus supernatural, obviously you know that. I mean, what are the supernatural powers and all of that. Man versus religion, faith. So which is like, oh my God, something like that, all of that. PK, man versus science, technology, unknown. So man versus science is Koi Mil Gaya, Krish, all of that. Man versus society is Chhapak, the movie Chhapak, right? Man versus self is Tamasha, Queen, and all of that. Okay, this is called the types of conflict. Now coming on to raising a conflict, a stronger. So the conflict, the person. So here, your protagonist, eventually your protagonist will turn out to be stronger than the antagonist. But when you are raising a conflict there, right, the antagonist has to be more powerful person, right? He has to be more powerful there. Like when you watch Three Idiots, and when you are, when you watch Three Idiots, initially you see Amir Khan is the protagonist, but you see Boman Irani more powerful, and he persuades Sharman Joshi to commit a suicide. So he is anyway more, and Amir Khan can't do anything to it. Why? Because definitely Boman Irani is more powerful than Boman Irani is more powerful than the antagonist is more powerful than protagonist. So here you have to keep that in mind. The conflict should be tailored to your protagonist's main desire. So what the protagonist wants, your antagonist should be against it completely. Whatever your protagonist goal is, your antagonist should be against it completely. So antagonism must increase with time, and you will lose the reader's interest. So the conflict has to, increase. I mean, you can just, like I said, that you can show the rising action, and then you can increase the level of hatred for antagonist in your writing. So that is how you become like Boman Irani. Initially, when you see him, he looks like a difficult person, but while the movie goes on, you start to hate him. So the reader has to hate your antagonist by the time you reach the climax. Okay, fine. So this is creating forces of antagonist. So what is the protagonist desire? Like I said, that protagonist, it has to be completely opposite than what the protagonist won. The antagonist has to be, the protagonist should have a desire. Like Amir Khan wants to succeed. He wants to change the education system, but the protagonist is completely against it, right? What is his unconscious desire? This may be related to the main desire, or it may be completely opposite of the, main desire. So it is entirely your creativity how you want to do it, right? what is the worst thing that can happen to this character? What is the worst thing that can happen? Now put your step into the shoes of your protagonist and think that what is the worst thing that can happen to you, right? And then write it, create that, right? What is something even worse that can happen to this? Obviously we have discussed this. So what people, institution, or forces can bring this about? What other people, what other forces are there to put this protagonist into the trouble? Add them, right? Include everything around them. Like if you see Three Idiots, it was an institute, it was the education system, it was his friends, one of his friends who left him, and then everything was against him. So you have to put all the forces of your creativity against your protagonist to show the conflict, and that is important. So when it comes to the expert tip, conflict is the life's blood of story. Obviously, what sound is to music, conflict is to story. So conflict is damn important when it comes to writing, right? Conflict should be present in every chapter, every page. So like I said, that when it comes to Three Idiots, it was the protagonist, or it was the institute that was against Amir Khan. It was the Bahman Irani who was against it. It was the parents, it was the society, everything was against the idea of learning and not being successful, right? So all of that is important. So that is how, so once you have chosen a genre, so let me just come back to the writing process. So here, once you have chosen a genre, you have to write a plot. Like I said, that you have to write it in points, do some research work, obviously we have discussed this, and create setting and characters. All of this you have to write in points first. Choose your narrative voice, that who is going to narrate the story, raise a conflict, and then you will be able to write a story. Now coming on to the post writing, create your first draft. Now this is important. Why it is called your first draft? Because you never publish it. Okay, let it sit for a while, walk away from it for at least 2-3 days. Then you self-edit and cut the fluff words and cut the extra words and cut the extra weight. Any scene that is not adding value, any description that is not taking your story forward, any character that is hidden in your story should be removed. Okay, divide your story in chapters. So never divide your story while writing. Write it in one go and then divide it in chapters. You have to break the chapters. Supposedly you are writing a biography, so you will break the chapters in childhood, marriage, and all of that. So every age, like when the protagonist is in childhood, it will be 1 or 2 chapters, the young age. So the story grows in age. So if there is a child in the story, and there is a it comes to the adolescence, it comes to the young age, and it grows old. So your story has to divide it in a way that it remains connected with the chapters. Plus, whenever the reader is leaving your book in between, ideally the reader should not, but if he or she is leaving the book in between, the chapter should be such that reader should not feel that, okay, there is a break of flow in reading. Okay, break in flow of reading. So that should not happen. Okay, so all of that proofreading can be done with a grammatical tool. All of that can be done together, right? So this is how you write a best-selling novel. So we have understood this, and I am sure you're gonna enjoy writing your first. I'm sure you're gonna enjoy writing your first story or a first novel, which will turn out to be the best-selling novel. And I will take your leave and wish you all the best, all of you.